The ocean is a beautiful blue world. It's full of life, full of mystery, and full of secrets we're still trying to understand. One of its most amazing creatures is the whale shark, the biggest fish in the world. It's calm, friendly, and a favorite of tourists who travel to places like the Philippines to swim with it. This has become a big business. It brings in money, it brings in crowds, but here's the problem. It's also hurting the whale sharks. People say tourism helps protect them, but that's not the full story. In this video, we'll show you 10 dark truths about whale shark tourism in the Philippines and what's really happening behind the scenes. Number 1. Physical injuries and stress. Swimming with a whale shark may seem like a moment of magic at first, but for the creature it can be a stressful and painful experience. Perhaps one of the most severe and unfortunately frequent hazards facing these gentle giants is injury from boat collisions. Daily, numerous boats dash to popular whale shark destinations such as Oslo in the Philippines, all vying to provide tourists with a memorable experience. But since there's so many boats congested in one small space, accidents are inevitable. Whale sharks are the biggest fish in the ocean, but they're slow-moving and peaceful. They often swim just below the surface, not sensing the fast boats coming from behind. And when a boat's propeller hits, the injuries can be terrible. Researchers have found deep cuts, torn fins, and open wounds on these peaceful animals, scars not caused by nature, but by tourism. And the harm isn't only on the outside. Number 2. The silent suffering of whale sharks. Swimming with a whale shark is a life-changing, once-in-a-lifetime experience, a moment of awe that is shared by the human and sea giant. But beneath this tranquil picture is a concealed and often neglected reality. Whale shark tourism is hurting these gentle animals. Worse, marking them and seriously stressing them out. Boat collisions are one of the biggest and most readily available hazards that they have. It is a heavy but silent threat. In crowded tourist areas such as Oslo, Philippines, tens of boats set out every morning, all in pursuit of one thing: a front row view of the world's biggest fish. Boats converge in feeding grounds, fighting to provide tourists with the most wonderful views and pictures. However, the more boats, the greater the chances of collisions, and unfortunately, it is often the sharks that are injured. Though they are enormous, whale sharks swim slowly and peacefully, generally swimming just below the surface. They wouldn't think of running from boats and usually don't even see them. This makes them vulnerable to boat propellers and hulls. Marine biologists have encountered numerous whale sharks with deep gashes, torn fins, and head and body scars from injuries inflicted by boat collisions. These wounds are not necessarily fatal, but do cause permanent damage. They can cause infections, alter how the shark swims, and in severe circumstances, compromise their eating or reproductive ability. Number 3. Constant human contact equals constant stress. But the boats aren't solely responsible. Having people around, typically lots of them at once, can be just as harmful in another way. Every day, tourists literally dive into the water to swim inches from a whale shark. Some try to touch them, photograph them, or swim with them, believing it won't harm anything. But to the shark, it's an invasive one, which causes continuous stress. Whale sharks are not performers. They are wildlife. They are guided by instinct, developed over millions of years. When the humans keep approaching them repeatedly in the water, it disrupts their natural course. This type of disruption can perplex them and cause them to feel uneasy, and even furious. And it does accumulate over time. It begins to alter the way they eat, reproduce, and migrate, all important aspects of survival and health. Some studies indicate that whale sharks even avoid their traditional feeding or breeding grounds due to excessive human presence, thereby reducing their populations in the process. So what appears to be a charming and innocent moment is altering the lives of these animals. Number 4. When a meal becomes a trap. Whale sharks, though large, are harmless filter feeders. They don't charge like the movie sharks do. Rather, they swim along lazily with open mouths, vacuuming up water and filtering out tiny ocean creatures like plankton, krill, and tiny fish. This peaceful and ancient way of eating has kept them going for millions of years, spanning enormous expanses of the sea. They migrate with the seasons, moving from tropical warm seas and traveling thousands of kilometers in a year. But in tourist destinations, most notably locations such as Oslo, Philippines, the natural process has been completely disrupted. To give tourists a good glimpse of the sharks daily, some tour operators began provisioning, hand-feeding the whale shark, shrimp, or krill. This might not be so bad at first. After all, the sharks are still fed, aren't they? But the truth is not quite that straightforward. By being fed such easy meals, humans are slowly changing their natural habits. These animals are built to swim many miles following thin lines of food across the sea. Now they hang around coming back day after day to the same spot for a hand-fed lunch. Those instincts which worked so well for so long start to break down. Why wander when they have food in front of them? This greater dependence on human food has terrible repercussions. The shrimp they're getting is nothing compared to the variety of nutrients they possess in their realm. Ultimately, this will lead to illness, weakened immune systems, and even development problems with young whale sharks. Number 5. Dangerous trust when boats mean food. There's also a frightening flip side to this feeding habit. It changes the perception of whale sharks toward people and boats. Whale sharks generally avoid boats in the ocean, but once they're regularly fed in tourist spots, they start to think boats mean food. So instead of avoiding them, they swim up to them. This puts them in extreme peril. They become more likely to be struck by boat propellers, a common threat in busy tourist waters. They are also more susceptible targets for poachers and illegal fishermen, especially where marine protection is poor. A whale shark that has grown used to being fed from a boat might not realize when a boat is threatening. Number 6. Habitat destruction and pollution. The whale shark tourism boom has really brought small coastal communities like Oslov, Philippines into the world's spotlight. Crystal clear waves, close encounters with gentle giants, and popular travel videos have made them very high on the list. Although the influx of cash is readily apparent, there's a greater problem brewing just below the surface. With each visitor pouring in, the strain on the ocean grows and it's coming to a dangerous juncture. To meet the tourist demand, the majority of boats embark early in the morning and head to feeding grounds with humans. This incessant boat traffic seems normal but is harming the ocean in vital ways. Boats plying shallow waters disturb the seabed, damage reefs, and scare away sea animals. Propellers stir up sand and sediment, filling the water with clouds and deflecting sunlight corals need to survive. Anchors occasionally land on coral, destroying buildings that were centuries in the making. And the more vessels, the more they bring in pollutants. Gas-powered boats leak toxins into the sea, harming fish, coral, and water quality, but tourists add to the problem too, especially with sunscreen. Common ingredients like oxybenzone and octinosate can bleach and kill coral, even in small amounts. In crowded spots, this damage adds up quickly. Then there's trash. Plastic bottles, food wrappers, and cheap gear often end up in the ocean, especially where tourist numbers overwhelm local waste systems. This waste isn't just ugly, it's lethal. Sea turtles eat plastic bags, mistaking them for jellyfish. Fish swallow microplastics. Even whale sharks consume plastic, damaging their health. Number 7. Increased risk of disease transmission when close encounters become contamination. On the face of it, swimming with a whale shark is like living in heaven. It's a sort of experience that travelers describe as life-changing. Drifting alongside the world's largest fish inches from its pocked skin and snapping tail. But whereas tourists bring back sweet memories and breathtaking photos, the whale sharks are left with an unseen danger. Exposure to novel bacteria. Each day in Oslov, Philippines, and others like it, scores of visitors plunge into the ocean thrilled and amazed with hopes of catching a glimpse of these incredible creatures. Unknown to most of them, however, is that they're taking unexpected passengers with them. They host invisible riders, bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other microscopic organisms characteristic of humans but not of sea life. Even someone wearing a clean swimsuit and with a good heart can still release dangerous germs into the ocean. Sunscreen, lotions, sweat, and even tiny fragments from our skin or breath can upset the ocean's finely tuned balance. To whale sharks whose immune systems are equipped to handle natural threats from the sea, not from humans, this exposure becomes dangerous, sometimes fatal. Number 8. Weakening the gentle giants. Whale sharks, however, have no doctors or antibiotics. When they do get sick, they're on their own to work it out without help, totally at the mercy of nature. Their gigantic size and constant movement through the sea make it practically impossible to keep track of their health once they dive away into the deep. When they are exposed to germs brought by humans, their immune systems may get weakened. What's a harmless microbe to us can be a grave disease in them, particularly when they're constantly exposed to such every day, all year round. Sick whale sharks may develop sores on their bodies, eat less food, act abnormally, or become too tired to travel long distances to eat and mate. In the long run, long-term illness can contribute to fewer infants being born, ill health, and even premature death in certain instances. Number 9. Feeding crowds, a breeding ground for infection. The dangers don't end with swimming. Wherever tour operators feed whale sharks to keep them nearby, a new issue is created. artificial crowding. Whale sharks are normally solitary creatures or travel in small scattered groups, but feeding locations congregate dozens of them in close contact side by side day in and day out. In the wild, this kind of proximity doesn't occur much, and for good reason. It keeps disease from spreading from animal to animal. But in these artificial feeding sites, one infected shark can readily pass on the germs to the others. Both strike injuries from rubbing against each other give bacteria or fungi an entry point. And since many of the same sharks migrate back to the same spot, this cycle of disease and reinfection can repeat itself again and again. The result? A high-risk environment where disease can spread much faster than it ever would in nature. Number 10. A delicate balance disrupted. Marine ecosystems are intricately linked. Every species plays a role in keeping the ocean healthy, and if one cog in the machine were removed, the system would be impacted. When the whale sharks fall ill and no longer come to areas for feeding, it might look like it would be a tourism matter only. Eventually, it is a great deal more. Whale sharks are large players in the ocean. They control the quantity of plankton in the ocean and stabilize the marine ecosystem. By sacrificing their health through incessant close contact and crowding, we may be upsetting that balance in ways we don't fully yet understand. The ocean is big, but the boundary between awe and damage is short. Whale sharks are not safe from the collateral damage of our fascination. If we desire these gentle giants to survive for generations to come, we have to make sure that our presence in their universe isn't at the expense of their health. Because sometimes the strongest act of love is granting nature room to remain untamed. Whale sharks don't require our touch, our flashes, or our food. They require our respect. What we find enchanting to us may be dangerous to them. If we can appreciate these harmless giants, then defending their world without disrupting it is the greatest gift we could offer. Sometimes the most compassionate thing we could do is simply to step away and let the ocean exhale. So guys, this is it for today. Stay tuned for more and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.